Morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Cheers. Oh. No, we're not doing a 4-hour one today. I have to do a shorter stream today. I'm going to try my best anyway to do a shorter stream today. Yeah, I've got stuff I have to get done. I've got to go get my car fixed again, and yeah, it's just lots going on. Do I have enough coffee? I don't know. I haven't even drunk any yet. I hope I got enough. How's everyone doing? Dirk was first. Hello, and Gregor, Azzy, Amos. Good morning. Michael, Andy, Yuri, Crazy Whoops, Station 240. Lies? What's lies? Who's lying? Hey, Colin. Dog question was saying, where you the founder of Studio 3? No. Almost. Sector 3 games you're talking about? Not Studio 3. I had a company called Sector 3 Games, and then I sold that, and then I had a company called 3 Sprockets. Don't ask about the threes. And then yeah, which I still kind of have in the background. Hey Chris, hey Mike, hey Tony. It's a broad nicht. Did I get that right? I don't know, I can't remember, it's been a long time since I've said that. That was for you, Tony. No, not Studio 3. Sector 3, yes. That was my first games company. A long time ago. Wow, that was, when was that? 2006, 2007? Hey, Peter. I got your message in the chat yesterday. In the, where I accidentally set the wrong time on the video. Peter, can you hit me up with your contact details on just my, my website? Just send me your email address. It'd be awesome to be able to chat with you offline. I tried tracking down some contact details for you a little while ago, but I couldn't find them, other than obviously YouTube. So it'd be really cool if you could. Hey Rob, good evening. Got the whole family. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Pressure's on. Hello, the embedded hobbyist. Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but it's okay. I got a Scottish friend who lives in Sydney. Oh, haven't spoken to in a while. Shame. Anyway, yes, we used to he used to try to teach us all the terrible dialect. It was beautiful. It's beautiful sounding language. Just I can't reproduce it very well. So how's everyone's week been? Hey MJT. How is everyone's week? You've all had a good week? I've had an interesting week. It's school holidays time, so it's always crazy in this household. Yeah, I don't blame you, Peter, keeping your contact details off social media. I get bombarded from every direction these days, but that's okay. Oh no, Neffa's had a terrible week. Sorry. Keep it clean? Why, what happened? Andy, who's not keeping it clean? Hey, Helmet. Been designing PCBs like crazy. Yes! Go, Amos! Yes, I need someone to rival me. Actually, I haven't been designing any new PCBs recently. I've tried to slow myself down just for a bit. I think everyone's doing okay. MJT? Hey, Leo. Oh, right, family viewing, yes. Oh, it's pretty clean here anyway. I mean, occasionally there's a few innuendos that I miss most of them anyway. Look at my breadboard. Oh, boy. This has been, let me see if I can get it a bit lighter. Oh, wrong way. This testing jig has been a bit of a nightmare, a bit of a struggle. Started a new job. Oh, okay. What are you doing, Michael? Is it in the electronics field? When you can't laugh anymore, it just isn't funny. Who's not laughing anymore? There's always something to laugh about, Peter. Although I understand you've had a rough time. I'm sorry to hear, mate. I really am. Obviously I don't know the details, but I don't know what to say other than I'm sure things will get better. I hope for you. IT administrator. Oh, so Band-Aid and fixes. Is that what you're doing? I spent a lot of time in the IT space, in the LAN and WAN space, in a previous life. And let me tell you, yeah, you spend your whole life just putting Band-Aids on Band-Aids. It wasn't fun. Anyway, this channel is quite a bit cleaner than your average episode of Monty Python. That's true. Although Monty Python's much funnier, I have to say. Although sometimes it's a good giggle watching me do stuff. There was, so, he might pop in later, I don't know if he will or won't, but Brian did his last live stream yesterday. So it was my Tuesday, his Monday night. He's taking a break from live streaming, just he's got some family obligations, he's got another bub on the way, and he's really feeling the time pressure at the moment, so he's decided to just take a break from streaming, and so on his stream yesterday, he was building one of Dave Darko's, amongst other things, one of his sloth badges. I'm just going to change views. Everyone, get ready, shock. There we go. He was, God, it's a bit, really terrible Logitech cameras, these. And it feels like there's a bit of a delay, lag. Anyway, he was building a sloth badge, and he slipped with some solder off one of the pads and smeared it on the face of the sloth, and so he ended up spending like half an hour or an hour colouring in the face of the sloth with solder. It was hilarious. It was like a really funny stream. It was we all had a good laugh. We were giving him quite a lot of sorry, just finding wires everywhere. Giving quite a lot of grief. It was pretty cool. If he ends up pushing that stream onto his YouTube channel, we should all watch it. It was pretty funny. Oh, wife's in hospital again. Sorry, Neffers. You've had a bad run, haven't you, mate? You and your family. Sorry to hear. Yeah, so I've had an interesting week. I haven't done a huge amount of work on my test jig. I had a couple of stumblings on there. Well, Station 240's been sick. Wow. Maybe we should just skip, we're in the second week of January, aren't we? We should just skip January and go straight to February. What do you think, everyone? 2019 was supposed to be a rock star year for everyone, but maybe it's not starting off too well. I can throw my spanner in the works. For those of you that don't know, I've got degenerative arthritis in both my shoulders. So I go anywhere from being okay and being able to move to not being able to move my shoulders and not being able to pretty much function. And I just had to start a new bout of steroids this week, or last week, because I was in pretty severe pain. So, and the steroids really whack my whole body. I don't sleep and I don't eat properly. And so look, it's a bad week for everyone, I think. Let's go straight to February. What do you think? Peter's right. Yeah. I know a few people that have been sick. Wow. I've lost my train of thought. Right. But the plus sides of my week, hey Brian, we were just talking about you. No, let's not skip to March. Let's at least try February first, Leo. Brian, we're just talking about skipping the rest of January. People are sick. Everyone's not well. People are having problems. Trials in their lives, so we're just going to skip the rest of January and go straight to February. Can you make that happen for us, please, Brian? April? Why don't we just write all of 2019 off, go straight to 2020? Brian, I was just telling everyone about your stream and you colouring in the sloth badge. Are you going to post that video on YouTube? I hope you do. Okay, it's official. I'll see you all in February. Bye. No, I'm just kidding. So I've ordered my... Oh, okay. I'm a little bit scattered this morning. Has anyone tell? Hey, Alex. This might end up being quite just a chattery... Oh, hello, Tinker Dad. This might just be a chatty stream. Hi, bye, David. Oh, just quickly, I have to go do something shortly. Hey, David. Okay, no problems. We were just talking about cancelling January, but that's cool. Wow, that's true. Like, the more we cancel, the closer we get to Christmas again. I got some plans for 2019, so I don't want to like scrap the whole year. But now it's February. We have a production schedule. Right, but with nothing to show for it. Okay, something about a piece of string and something shortly. Oh well, I don't know what that's about. Yeah, you know what? I'll start my conversation again in a moment because I've completely lost my train of thought. On a Tinker Dad, how did you go with the 0.2 nozzle? Oh, you're just going to go have a bath. Is that all it was? I thought you had to go out somewhere. Let's do a nice number, 2020, 2025. No, it's got to be even numbers. Yes, doesn't do odd numbers, so it's got to be an even number. Let's just go to, 2020 sounds good. Family holiday to Iceland. That doesn't sound fun. I'm sure it will be fun, but whenever you just think of Iceland, you think of freezing, right? Need to spring clean so I can get in my shed. Just watch out for spiders. 2042. Wow, that's a big jump. I'm going to be old by then, Peter. I'd rather not go that far, thanks. Well, you can stay in this year if you want, Brian. That's fine. We're not skip. No, I don't think we should skip the year. We should just accelerate January. Base 2. This is the wackiest conversation we've had on a stream so far, I think. But that's okay. Someone didn't watch Mighty Ducks. I've watched Mighty Ducks. But what was the reference? I've watched it a few times, actually, but a while ago. Okay. Yep. Yeah, Iceland does sound cool, actually. Get it? Cool? Yeah, no. Okay. We had a honeymoon there. 2 weeks touring the whole island, repeating with our 2 girls this time. Nice. Very nice. Okay. I've never been, but I've seen, obviously, vision of Iceland. Looks quite nice. Oh, you haven't installed the nozzle yet. Which printer have you got, Tinker Dad? I'm really of too much. I'd love to get a smaller nozzle for the Prusa, but they're just too difficult to change out. If there was an easier mechanism, or if there was a way actually, I don't know if you can see my printer. No. If there was a way of actually just swapping the whole head, that'd be awesome. That'd be easier. Yeah, I'd like to give January another week just because I've got some boards coming. I wouldn't want to wait till February for my boards. But yeah, I'm happy to accelerate it a bit. And okay, I might be here still, but everyone, I'm doing a shorter stream today. I have to. I've got some commitments this morning I need to deal with, so it's not going to be a 4-hour stream. I will literally just pull the plug on the stream if I start waffling more than I am right now. Before I go to more serious talk, I don't think there's going to be any serious talk today. It doesn't sound like it. I need to ask. I don't have a good source for USB connectors. Yeah, LCSC. What connectors? What do you need, Chris? What are you talking about? USB-C. Excuse me. Greenland's becoming green. I guess that's appropriate. An Ender 3. Cool. Yeah, if someone can design a complete head swap out for the Prusa, that'd be awesome. So we can put different size nozzles. Wouldn't mind playing around with a 0.2 size nozzle, just for some fine detail stuff, but I also don't want to have to spend twice as long printing stuff, so... Let's go. It's pretty close. Where's close? Greenland is close. Chat's disconnecting. Okay. Well, there was a sign of a test jig. Here we go. There's a test jig. Okay, let's. Well, I had some news, but I got side railed, and now I can't even. Okay, so I've ordered 150 production boards of TinyPICO. Oh, sorry, just the PCBs, but in black with ENIG because I need to start building samples for crowd supply. I need to provide them a whole bunch of samples that they can send out for the... So the way crowd supply works is they launch a pre-launch page. So it's like to gain interest and stuff and whatever before the actual campaign launches. And so I've just been starting to prepare my content for them. Obviously over January was December, January was a bad time. Just, everyone was on holidays and stuff. So We just started ramping up on that. So I've ordered some boards. I got my RF stuff locked off. I have a fully matched network now. And I'm really excited to see how that works. So I've ordered the parts I need for that. So when I get my production boards back, I'll do my first sample of that with the correct components for the matching network. I wasn't too far out, by the way. But I was out enough that, you know, like it was on the chart, but it wasn't very well on the chart. So I'm excited to have a play with that and just see how that performs, although it was performing well anyway. I've ordered my test boards for this, my PCB. I should actually show everyone what I've done. I will do that now. As you can see, I ended up redoing the boards I had before into a new breadboard so I could hook up all of the pins, but this is just unstable. It's given me a lot of grief. Obviously, crappy DuPont cables. Oops, I said the bad word. I said bad DuPont cables, just bad breadboard. So I wired it this way for those that are interested. Like this, so I could get the board in and out. Because I need to be able to test, like, you know, mechanically, electrically, plug it in, yes, it detects it, pull it out, no, it doesn't. But in doing that and wiring it this way, it's just become a bit of a nightmare. But when I was wiring it directly to the pins via DuPont cables, it was also an absolute mess. Just, Dirk, try refreshing your browser. The lag sometimes is because I'm on ultra low, and sometimes the browser refresh helps. It says my stream health is good. So, yeah, just try a browser refresh, not a restart. Let me just bring up the PCB, my final PCB. I ended up rebuilding my PCB 4 times. It was a bit of a pain because I kept changing stuff, but I came up with a final design. Let me load it up. Let me switch. Okay. So this is my final PCB design for my test rig, and I made it. I think crap is an okay word to say. Yes, but there's some family viewing today. Rob's family is watching. Hi, Rob's family. So yeah, but I know it's probably an okay word, but still. Okay, so crap's PG for sure. So, I said it again. There you go. So this is the PCB. It's designed to obviously fit as a hat now. Getting errors here. Could just be YouTube, folks. Now let me just check my internet here. Speed test. We'll just do a speed test. Let's have a look. Let's see if everyone can have a look. Just to see how good my internet is right now. Yeah, go away. Change server. I'm just going to go to my closest point just to check that it's not me. Yeah, it could just be YouTube. Terrible ping. Look at that. Okay. Why is that red? Interesting. Okay, well my speed is fine. Hey Eric! Stream is fine, chat won't load sometimes, main YouTube stream won't load. Okay. Okay, it's Rob and Steph now, we can start swearing. Woohoo! Okay, maybe not. Well, that's pretty good. Okay, yeah, it's not me. It's not the stream. It's just YouTube. Sorry, folks. Go in the send icon. 25, yeah, the pings are terrible. I don't know why, it's just, yeah. Lucky I'm not gaming, right? Interestingly, I've got a red box on, I'm getting some drop frames. I'm getting 5% drop frames in OBS. I've never had drop frames before. I wonder why that is. Okay. So what do you, anyone that knows how to use OBS, if I stop the stream and start the stream, will that kill my YouTube stream? What will happen? No, my browser stopped. But I'm getting a large amount of dropped frames in OBS. So it could actually be an internet issue beyond me. What? Can no one see the stream? How's this, folks? Are we back? Can anyone see? Are we here? Hello? Back? Back? Okay. Wow, it's just every week a problem. Hey, Alan. Okay, I'm back. Hey, Wolfgang. Okay, and my dropped frames have stopped. Very weird. I'm just going to drink my coffee. I'm just going to... Wow. Can't hear me? What? YouTube had a hernia, maybe. Bad resolution? What's going on? No, it wasn't the speed test. I had dropped frames before I even did a speed test. But yes, you're right, I won't do a speed test on a stream anymore. It could just be the NBN. Sound is fine. Hey, woodworker. Yeah, you know what? Picking the name Unexpected Maker was the worst thing I ever did, because now it's unexpected everything. It should just be expected. Expected rubbish. What? Latency 0 seconds. Stream gone again. Yeah, okay, I won't do a speed test ever again. I apologise for that. Didn't occur to me that would be a problem, but I don't know what... Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with YouTube. Sorry, folks. It seems to be, yeah, here. It says that my stream is bad, even though I've got... Okay, well, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to keep going, folks. Hey, Nicholas. Hey, Simon. If I haven't said hi to someone that went past, I apologise. Hi to everyone. Okay, well, I'm never ever doing a speed test again. Anyway, so just quickly back onto what I was talking about before I forget. Yeah, maybe I skipped to February. I've skipped the whole rest of the chat. So I've designed the board as a hat. I'm just going to get this out of the way, right? And so it now sits... It's designed... Oh, this is back to front. Let me turn this around. So it sits here on top and sits over the USB area. So the button is here. Can I get them both at the same time? Don't know what that'll look like. Kind of. Hey, Torsten. Can I get that a bit bigger? Let me see if I can get that a bit bigger. Can everyone see that? It's obviously it's... If you're watching on a small device, I'm sorry. But you can see, so the PCB... Let's move that over here. It's designed to now sit as a hat. Is that upside down? Oh, this is upside down. 1 second. Oh, boy. Cam link. We need to transform. We're going to rotate 180 degrees. There we go. So it sits as a hat here, and then the Pico will sit over here inside a test jig. And then, so what I did was... Hey Roger. Oh, I saw your name go past before. How you doing, mate? So what I did was I've added a hole over here and a hole over here. So I was going to get one of those clamps to hold the PCB down, to hold the Pico down. But the truth is, I'm just going to keep switching screens, sorry. The problem is that with the Pico, there's no place to stick a clamp without potentially damaging the board. I don't want people to try to clamp the board in, like, you know, one of those lever clamps, and squish or bend the antenna or anything. Like, it's quite fragile. So I had another idea. Obviously there won't be header pins in it. So the idea was that, hang on. We're going to do some pen and paper, folks. So this is not like I didn't invent this idea, but I think it'll be, oh, hey Andy Mouse, stream going again. I'm just going to keep going, folks. I don't know if it's gone or not gone for anyone. I apologise if it ends up being a flaky stream. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to try to draw this in 3D. So if that's the PCB, there's going to be like a hole here. So if the row of pogos there, right, there's going to be a hole there and a hole there. These are going to have standoffs, like either 3D printed or metal or nylon standoffs, right, that are the height of the pogo pins. They're going to be sticking up here, right, so the board fits on top. And then, so on top of the standoff is going to be a bit of acrylic. So there's a screw here holding it in, and you can rotate the acrylic around, and it's going to clamp at the top of the board. Let me draw that, see if I can draw it better. If here's a TinyPICO, right, here's a USB, there's the antenna. There'll be a standoff here and a standoff here, and there'll be like a teardrop type of shape, like this, with a screw and a, right? And so when you put the board in and push it onto the pogo pins, you'll be able to use your thumb and rotate these little bits of acrylic just over the edge where the header pins are, or, you know, where the holes are on the board, just to hold it in place. For those on desktop, if you want to know what's going on YouTube or your end, right click on the PS Step for Nerds, you can see what's up and down. Sorry, I'm sorry, folks. It's going to be a short stream today just because it's not even working. There almost wasn't a stream today, by the way, because I broke So what I normally do is on a my Tuesday night, I just do a bit of a setup for my stream because I have to get up early in the morning, and so I want to make sure that my desk is clean. I've got everything out that I need for my stream. And while I was setting up, this is my HDMI cable. So that's my normal HDMI that goes into the cam link and then this is the end that goes into my DSLR, right, that I'm using right now. I snapped off the end of this somehow. It's like a $90 cable. And it's busted, and so I had no way of connecting my DSLR, so I ran around like crazy, and I went to one of our office supply shops called Officeworks, which are open till midnight, thank God, but I went at about 7 o'clock last night and managed to grab a new cable for $30, so yay. But otherwise we would have had no camera on the stream today. But that was really annoying. This is really, I can't believe how fragile this end was. It's like completely snapped inside. Yeah, $90. It's a Panasonic cable, straight from Panasonic. No, it's not an Apple One. Panasonic. Better the cable than the camera jack. Absolutely, absolutely. You're right, Eric. I was actually panicking. I thought it was my camera. So yes, there was almost no vision in the stream today. So anyway, that's what I've got planned. So that's what these two holes are. No, I actually thought it was. Can I tell you something? I thought about repairing it, but it's HDMI. It's not USB, right? I mean, there's I don't know, 17 pins or something in this. I can't remember how many are in HDMI. But I took a look at the moulding. There's no way I can cut this open and salvage it. It is the thickest, no, this thing is moulded like you wouldn't believe. Anyway, I thought about opening it last night and trying to fix it, but no, there's more than 17. Anyone know how many pins on HDMI? Anyway, it was a simple thing. I just knocked the side here. So this new cable I've got is much more flexible. And while I was there, actually, just on a side topic, I got this. So one of the things I'm going to need is some really short A to micro B. And I found this really cool, look at this, it's silicone, really flexible USB cable. And it's got really, look at these ends on them. They're like ends that you can't break. They weren't cheap. These are like, how much were they? I think $12 each. I mean, I went to an office supply, like Officeworks. It's not like I bought the stuff from a cheap seller. 19, there you go. I thought it was close. Hey, Greg. I knew it was a high teens number, but I thought it was 17. I don't know why I thought it was 17. Anyway, yeah, look how good are these. Anyway, so I've got one to test it, and then I'm going to grab a few of these. So when I send over test jigs to China, I'll be able to send them with all the cables ready built, ready to go. So I was quite happy with that little purchase. Quite flexible cable. Cheaper than $90 doll hairs. What? A twist due to the pins pushing up. Also, some side guides would help. Are you talking about the pogo pins? I'm going to have, my plan is to have some extra support underneath around the pogos. Something 3D printed probably, or most likely something, sorry, try it again. Something acrylic cut. So there's going to be a lot of layers. My plan is to have a lot of layers of acrylic. There'll obviously be acrylic underneath for the Pi to sit on. There's going to be the board that plugs in. The board has, if you can see here, it's got the correct holes and dimensions for the Pi. So the board will be secured to the Pi quite well. And then there's going to be another layer of clear acrylic that sits over the top that the screen, there'll be a cutout for the screen and there'll be a cutout for the button and the LED. Obviously the header pins, and then there'll be slots for the pogo pins. I don't know if I'll be able to do holes. I'll try holes if I can do fine enough with the laser. I should be able to. If not, it'll be slots holding the pins straight, if that makes sense. So what I'm expecting to build is a stacked chunk of, like it'll be quite bulky, and hopefully really secure and rigid is what I'm hoping for. Doors, tapes, and smoked out hash pipes. What? Hey, Electron Ash. Have nausea, bad juice. What is this what has just happened to this conversation? What did I miss? Wow. Okay. That conversation's gone left field. So this is the final, as I said, this is the final board design. This has been sent off to JLC PCB yesterday, unfortunately. I was hoping to do it earlier, but I had to wait for my final RF, so I had to confirm that there were no board changes so I could get my TinyPICO boards done at the same time to save on shipping. That looks like Cosmo Micro USB cable. Yes, it is a Cosmo Micro B. Cosmo? Comsol. Cosmo? What's Cosmo? Comsol. Yes. You're right. It is a Comsol. I can't reach it. I'm not going to pull it out. It's a Comsol. Yeah, well, everything from Officeworks is Comsol. And it's a... Oh, yeah, hang on, wait. I'm confused now. You're talking about the USB? Wow. This whole stream has been completely derailed. completely, which is fine, whatever. It feels about as productive as my week's been. So I really want to get this back and try it, because this is, as I said, every time this is just proving to be a real nightmare, stability nightmare. I've kind of got it working now. Let me plug it in. I took everyone's feedback. Hey, Zephbot. Will there be an update? There will be. I've actually made some progress on my rocket project, but I just juggling too many things at the moment. The rocket project's a longer term thing. I did come up with a design that I think will work. That can house a battery inside it, a bigger battery, and where the battery can be replaceable, but not chargeable. So it won't be charging the battery, but it'll be a replaceable battery. So I've got an idea. A rocket. Yeah, a few streams ago, 3 or 4 streams ago, I came up with an idea of building an acrylic, not a flying rocket, an ornament. Yeah, that rocket, that's the one, yes. So I've come up with a design that I think will work. It'll be easier to put together and pull apart to be able to swap a battery in. Sorry, sore eyes. Yeah. So, what was I saying? Right. So, I took everyone's advice from last week, by the way, and I've added a power down button. See, this is upside down for me now. I need it to be this way, even though the board's upside down. So this is my function button, and this is my shutdown button. So when you push and hold this for 5 seconds, it shuts the Pi down. I wish there was a way of shutting power as well. Super frustrating that you can't also power down the Pi. And I thought about sticking an actual power switch on, a hard power switch, but I don't want to risk people turning the power off without doing the soft shutdown. But there's a soft shutdown that's organised now. See on Musk jokes. Oh, yes, right, okay. Would you keep telling people, Sion, that it's okay to talk about everything? No, you're quite welcome to talk about whatever you want, seriously. And often when I'm concentrating on building something or doing whatever, the chat just goes by. It's all good. But I'm actually lost. Like, I have, yeah, can't follow the conversation at all right now. But that's okay. I don't mind. Whatever. Are you paying for the initial 150 boards for the crowd supply? So no, the 150 boards, they're just PCBs, although I'm ordering a whole bunch of parts as well. So the production for the crowd supply campaign, however many it does, I hope it does a good number. It might not, whatever. Most likely they'll all just be done in China. So the boards, the reason I've got 150 boards coming right now is because it's cheaper for me to get 10 boards with 15 per board panelized than it is to just get, like, I need more than 10 boards. I'm probably going to have to build about 20 or 30 samples. And to get 30 individual boards is the same price as getting 150 and getting them panelized. And so I'm just getting 150 panelized. That way I have spare boards, spare production boards, if I need to make some more samples or anything else. Because obviously, I could send out samples that don't look like the final product, but I'd rather send out samples that look like the final product. I want them to be black, I want them to have Enig. And so I've got a new TinyPICO logo. Does anyone want to see my logo? I'll show you my logo. I did it yesterday before I sent the boards off. It's not much different to... yep. That is the TinyPICO logo now on the back of the board. I needed a logo for the campaign, so that's the back of the board now. It's got a soft power switch that can... So, question about I can't even pronounce it, the LiFePO 4 powered. So I was looking at those online. I couldn't find any that could be charged. If I'm going to do battery powered and charge, I need something where the battery can charge while it's powering the Pi. Yeah, I wouldn't send it to EVblog anyway, Woodworker, because he's not the type of person that's going to give me any... It's called light. Is that how you pronounce it? Just life powered. Yeah, but EVblog is a wrong place to showcase my boards. Like he doesn't really do anything with microcontrollers and Wi-Fi type stuff. And look, I'm still unsure about green or black. Obviously, it's cheaper for me to do green boards. Hey, Steve-O, it's cheaper to do green boards, but not by a huge amount. It's a $20 difference in price. Yeah, $22 difference in price. So I'm going to do them black to see how they look. But either way, they're going to be Enig, which is the gold. So yeah, so to get 10 panels done, it just didn't make any sense to not get 150 boards. And then I've got boards here that if I need to make extra boards, I can just make them and send them to people as I need to during the campaign or pre-campaign or whatever. And then the actual production for the boards for the campaign will happen in China, unless I only sell 50. And then I'll probably make them myself. As a complete Pi USB. Okay, okay, the stuff that I looked at online, Peter, I couldn't find anything that maybe I need to hunt a bit harder. Yeah, having something that can be charged and power the Pi. Yeah, yeah, okay, cool. Andy's off to get Andy Mouse off to get a Guinness. Cool. Black PC. What did I miss? Did I miss anything? I have 2 of those OLEDs now, but I haven't tried them yet. Oh, okay. Don't know what that is. So anyway, so that's the logo. So those boards have gone off as well. Wow, really lost it. Really lost the train of thought. Hey Chris, I need something that's going to be completely enclosed in a case. Yeah, I don't know. Weren't the ones you were working at work as a hat or something, Chris? I'm not sure. I'll have to remember what that was. Now, I have a feeling that on this board that I'm going to have a problem with this reset, what I'm doing here with the reset, possibly. So I've got something funky happening in here right now. It's powered up. Let me just get this booting. Let me just connect to the Pi. Won't be a moment. And I made quite a bit of progress from last week, from the coding side. Worked at quite a few things out, which I'm happy to show you all what I've done. Okay, let me just go to my desktop again, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just in Visual Studio Code, so it's connected to the Pi. I'm going to TinyPICO program. I'm going to rmate doit.py. Whoops. That is not what I wanted to do. Yeah. Okay, no. Try that again. .py. Okay, so here's my code still. Not a lot of changes, but I'll go through a few things in a moment. But what I want to show you is got quite a few more things in here now. I worked out how to embed fonts, which is cool. I have some extra scripts. So let me show you rmate doit.io.py. Dotty. God, I can't. I'm having a spelling problem today. Wow. Dotty. Do it. Thank you. So I'm just scanning the chat to see what's going on. So what I've started doing is writing both MicroPython and Python, and it's all stored in the same place on the Pi right now. Is your G hot swap, or do you install the Pico and then power up everything for cycle? It's hot swap. Well, supposed to be hot swap. Hard to test right now because I haven't coded the complete cycle, so I haven't got it going back into a restart for a new board state yet. And that's just a coding thing because I'm still adding stuff at the moment. So what I worked out was, because if you remember, or for those of you that remember on my last stream, was I was trying to do some inline REPL. I worked out how I can copy code directly to my TinyPICO after I flashed it, and I can copy it over as main.py and tell the TinyPICO to reboot itself. Some TUK-SKH1. I have no idea what that is. And so what I did as a test was I've got this MicroPython here, and obviously MicroPython, I mean, it's still Python, but syntax is a little bit different. Like you need to do, if you want to talk to the pins, you do from machine import pin, where in normal Python. Where did my other R8 go? Did I close it? Why can't I have both at the same time? That's weird. Obviously with the Raspberry Pi you need to do rpi.gpio. Why is it not letting me open multiple tabs? That's weird. Okay. Okay, Cat6 wall mount sockets. Cool. And so what this code is going to do, this is for testing all the I/O, and I haven't added them all in yet, but basically I've set up pin 33, or GPIO 33, on the TinyPICO as an output, and I've got all the rest of them, when I finish coding it, will be set up as inputs. And so the idea is that the Pi will send this code to the TinyPICO as main.py, it'll reboot the Pi, and it'll sit there waiting for IO33 on the TinyPICO to go high, like an acknowledgement pin. And this code will sit there looping, and it does a count. So right now it's just checking pin 32, but the idea is that it's going to go through every I/O. So the Pi is going to send high to every I/O on the TinyPICO, and it's going to count how many are high, and if the count value is correct, it sends high back on 33. Otherwise, it just sits there waiting, and there'll be a timeout. Okay. So what I didn't want to do is set up any type of serial interface. I could have used two pins and done some serial comms between the two, but I just wasn't sure how to do that yet. So I thought just an acknowledgement pin might be enough for now, hopefully. And so it'll inject this code. It'll count how many I/O are high. That means that all the I/O are working, right? If the Pi sends high on every one of these, so as you can see, every I/O on the TinyPICO that's just a straight up general purpose I/O is connected to an I/O on the Pi. So I can set outputs on the Pi, inputs on the TinyPICO, and read all the states, and vice versa. So it does a count. It's going to send back an acknowledgement, and then it can move on to the next test. Now, I got MicroPython compiling for... Oh, I got news. MicroPython compiling for PSRAM, but it's not actually... None of the code inside MicroPython counts the PSRAM. So it enables it, but there's nothing built in right now that actually says this is the new size of RAM, which is a bit of a pain. It's just something that's been overlooked because there was no support for the TinyPICO and for the Room 32 before. So I heard from Espressive that official support for PSRAM for TinyPICO, or for Pico D4 and Room 32 is coming in the next mainline update. Not in a bug fix update. They just did one, I think 3.12? Was just a bug fix one. But official support is coming in the next, so what, 3.2, whatever it's going to be, which is very exciting because that was a stumbling block for me. So even though I could have released the TinyPICO with custom MicroPython firmware, if you were to build your own firmware, you wouldn't have been able to get support for PSRAM. And if you try to use it in the Arduino IDE, you wouldn't have got support for PSRAM on the Pico D4. But I've been pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's coming. It's been ratified, except except they chose different pins. Hey, Barnabas. So right now, even though both Rudy and I let them know what pins we were using, they chose different pins for their PSRAM. And unless they make the pins configurable, TinyPICO will not work with PSRAM when they release their mainline. How's that for coordinated effort? So I've let them know they're talking about it. I don't know what's going to happen. They've used the same pins as I'm using, but in a completely different order for two of them, and it would mean a complete reroute of my board and retesting again. Super frustrating. So I don't know what the result of that's going to be right now, and I was reluctant to again build. This is another reason why I waited so long to get those 150 TinyPICO boards made, because I was waiting to hear back from Espressive, but I can't wait anymore. I need to move forward. So all these boards I'm getting could actually end up being wasted boards, because I might have to reroute again if Espressive don't make those pins user assignable. Oh, cool. Embedded Hobbyist is getting a USB microscope. So, yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I feel like I've been going around in circles with my testing. I feel like I've been going around in circles with the TinyPICO. I'm glad I did the RF stuff, but that took a little bit longer than... Oh, okay, no, it was fine, actually. It was pretty good. I've got all my final quotes back in for production, if I do need to go in production. But I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels a bit, just like on this stream. So let's power this up. Let's run this. So go, and I'll show you the problems I've been having with it. So Python doit.py. That should boot it up. Right. So it says press button right now. So I had in my original design, I had a level shifting, a MOSFET for level shifting, so I could detect the 5 volts coming in, because obviously the GPIO on the Pi is 3.3 volts, and I wanted to check that there was power coming through. So if you, just as a quick refresher, thanks Peter, it's not been a good it's not been a good stream. Electron Ash, I'll get back to that one in a second. I'll answer your question in a sec. So, so the very first thing it does is checks ground. So on this particular ground pin just here, get a bit closer. On this ground pin, it's actually pulled high. And so if it can't find a TinyPICO, like the very first thing it does is reads this pin, and if this pin is high, then it says there's no TinyPICO there. And if the pin is low, it means that obviously the ground pin here is shorting it, and then it's found a TinyPICO, which is great. The next thing it does is checks the 5 volt line to make sure there's actual power coming through, to double check that the USB connection is fine. And so that 5 volt is now going into a voltage divider. So a 2K and a 1K resistor, just pretty straightforward. Could actually be even a 2.2, no, it's a 2K. So it gives me about 3.2 volts. But sometimes when that's connected, so right now I've got that going just straight to my 3 volt line, and I'm intercepting it here. Because sometimes on this board, if I do this test here where I plug, so let me do that now. So I have 5 volts coming in here. See, it says 5 volt power is missing. Even though I've got 5, and I'll show you. And this is absolutely a breadboard or wiring issue. But if I go and grab my multimeter, so let me just pull out just a fraction so you can see. Oh, I just stabbed myself. So, just to show you, let's ground this. Right, if I check this pin, 4.9 volts, so it's right off the edge. Move it a bit more. Right, I got pretty much 5 volts there. And if I check where it's coming into the resistor, again, 4.9, close enough. If I check the other side of the resistor, 3.2, which is what I'm trying to read. And on this side, obviously, it's 0 going through. Oh, you can't even see where I'm touching. Sorry. 5 volts on that side of the resistor. 3 volts on this side. So this is the voltage divider. So, and if I touch the pin going to the pi, right, that pin could be this wire again. There's some real, I'm just getting real, here we go. See, sometimes it goes up and sometimes it doesn't. So, I'm having wiring issues, I'm having breadboard issues. Right, but here's the thing. So let's say I fix this one. Let me get a different wire. Let me see if I can find a longer wire. So, one thing I did at the end of last week's stream, I'm not sure if you all remembered, when I had wires everywhere, I've now put all my wires in bags. I sorted them. It took me about an hour, and every type of wire is in its own bag now. How cool is that? That's called organised. Let's see how long it lasts that way for. Okay, I'm going to use this white wire. Hey Graham. Okay, so I'm going to pull this one out because this, I don't know, maybe that's not working. Or maybe it's the breadboard. Like, it could be so many different things, right? And as you can see, working with this mess of wires has just become a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. And I keep knocking wires and disconnecting stuff. And, like, breadboarding's cool. And I know I could have done it all on prototype board. But I just, yeah, I'm not sure that that's... I just would have made a mess with that as well. So let me just go back to... What did I turn off for? Let's go further out. So let's have a look again. So I've got 3 volts, 3 volts, okay? Okay, so now it's working. So that time it works. Great. So as you can see, let me zoom back in again now. It says push button. That means it's found the ground, it's found the 5 volts, and it's also tested as 3 volts. So it's tested all the power and things is ready to go. But, now this might fail or might not fail. If I press the button to start, sometimes when the 5 volts connected, so it found the Pico, it should do an erase. No, sorry, it checks the chip, and it should do a raise. Now, about 5 times out of 10, it fails on the erase or the flash with the 5 volt pin connected. Let's see if it fails this time. You watch, so it's not going to fail this time. It failed on me 7 or 8 times yesterday during the day. And it didn't fail that time. Although it just did something funny on there. Oh, no, there it goes. And now it can't find the 3 volt power. And that could be because the TinyPICO restarted. Right. So what I was having yesterday was completely intermittent failing on arrays and failing on flashing. And it's breadboard and wire related. And it's just been doing my head in because every time I write some code and want to test it, I'm getting fail points at places I shouldn't be having fail points. What I missed? Have you dealt with latch up before? I have no idea what latch up. What do you mean? You mean the latching pins on boot? Gotta love a live demo. Yeah. When does it ever work on a live demo? Ever. For me, anyway. Anyway. I'm not sure what you mean by latch up, Peter. I'm sure I've missed a whole bunch of chat. If I've missed a question that you want to know the answer to, please just re-ask it. But just at me. Dodgy breadboard. Yeah, like between dodgy wires, dodgy breadboard, like I can even tell with these resistors, sometimes I wobble them and they work properly and don't work. A digital circuit gets stuck in -1. Yeah, I'm pretty, like, I make sure I set all my I/O states very early, and I set everything, but I probably don't have a test case in my code right now that detects a reset. Like, anytime the code's running and it detects a power issue on ground, 5 volt or 3 volt, it throws an error. So I need to have some blocking code in that says, oh, you're supposed to be rebooting, don't throw an error. I should use a decent breadboard. So I was doing it on one of your breadboards, Rob. The problem with your breadboards, as beautiful as they are, the orientation of the power is wrong for me. Where's... Right. So I was doing it on this. Let me zoom out. This is so for those who don't know, Rob bought me very generously some breadboards quite a while ago. He sent as a gift. These are the ones that have 6 on each side instead of regular 5 pins, which were great for the ESP32 boards. Hey, Death Shaker. The problem is the power is on the top and here, and the powers are not joined together, which is a bit of a pain. So it just meant that from a convenience point of view, I couldn't lay this out the way I wanted to on here without bridging everything over everywhere. And it was getting a bit messy, so I stopped, took it off and put it on this instead. But yes, that is a crap breadboard. Crap wiring, and I'm having all sorts of trouble with it. And what I need to do is just get it on the board, build a board, get it on a board, eliminate all this wiring. I feel like every time I sit down and start continuing my coding on here, and I get hit with a stumbling point that has nothing to do with what I'm coding, I feel like I'm just wasting my time. Greg asked, one circuit proven, I guess you need to move to a permanent point-to-point wire finished product. Yeah. No, I'm making more than one. So that's what my... I'm not sure if you were here, Greg, when... Were you here when I showed this. This is my solution. This is the board I'm using. That I'm getting made. I'm getting 10 of them made, obviously, because it's 5, 10, it's all the same thing. And I'm going to need more than... I'm going to need a test jig for me. I'm going to need a test jig for at least 1 for China, if not 2 or 3. Pretty sure crap's copyrighted by Watts. Okay, I can't use crap. I'll have to use something else. Sorry. Jumper wire joins the rails, but you need a few of those side by side for large runs. Yeah. Yeah, I know I could jumper them all together, but it was also just the vertical placement. I really wanted them side by side like I got on my breadboard now. So I started putting them on that one and then I took them off and moved them. I was just finding it really difficult to bridge everything over. There's a reverse bias condition, which is common on the bed of nails. I've got a pile of notes for you, I'll send you. Dude, you got notes on everything. You're a walking encyclopedia. You know what you've dealt with to tune the content. Well, not a lot right now because I'm getting so many false negatives. False negatives? Can you have false negatives? With this process, with the breadboard right now, that I keep, as I said, I keep taking one step forward, one step backward, and I'm never really knowing what the problem is. Like, I'm sure some of these I/O wires here aren't in properly, and every time I reseat them or do something like this, something else fails. So, yeah. This, and then sometimes this LED isn't working, or the resistors are touching. Then I made some short resistors so they didn't stick up so high, and then I cut them too short. Yeah, the breadboard sockets get dirty, corroded over time. Try switch cleaner or new boards. Well, this is the only spare board I've got this size because everything else is being used right now. I just need to move off the board, which is why I've got the other ones done. Unfortunately, the production time on my on these boards here, these are only like a 24-hour turnaround board, but the 4-layer boards are a 4-day turnaround. So it's going to be over a week before I get these boards back, unfortunately. Electron, you asked a question, something about Python before. What was the question? And Barnabas asked, what's the difference? Oh, went off the top. Hang on. What is the difference between Python and MicroPython? I guess it's simplified, but you can... Yes and no. So MicroPython is fully compatible with Python 3 in terms of syntax, but obviously it has all the microcontroller based stuff in there as well. So like things like exposed I/O and a whole lot of microcontroller based stuff. So a lot of libraries, yes, will just work. Some of them might need to be tweaked a little bit. It's designed to be much more lightweight than regular Python, like way more lightweight, which means obviously just using regular Python libraries, they might be coded not in a great way for a microcontroller in terms of memory and stuff. Just wondered about how the Pi was requesting the different pin states on TinyPICO, but I see now that you're controlling it via the USB serial. Yeah, so what I'm doing is the Pi has the ability to run to inject Python multiple ways onto the TinyPICO. So it flashes it with a version with the firmware that I want for MicroPython, just because it's easier. I mean, I could flash it with Arduino code, just using the exactly same ESP tool, but I don't want to. I'd rather write all my code for this on both sides in Python, mainly because I'm learning Python at the same time and MicroPython, but also because I can do it real time. I don't have to constantly be compiling and checking and compiling and checking. So I can either write MicroPython directly to the TinyPICO via a REPL, or I can just inject a whole bunch of code and tell it to boot with that code. I can even inject a whole bunch of code and tell it not to boot, just call that, like import it and just call it. But I think the boot process per test is going to be a cleaner way of doing it. And then I'm just using all the I/O that's connected to each other to do whatever I need to do, whether it's, to test high-low states or as basic communication and acknowledgement. It's, look, there might be an easier way or a better way to do all this, I don't know, but I'm learning a lot. I've never used, up until last week, I'd never used a Pi before, I'd never used Python before, and I've never built a programming jig before, so, yeah. I'm learning as I'm going. Yeah. Oh, Rob's posted a link. What's that link for, Rob? We have a moderator. We've got quite a few moderators, actually. Everyone in blue is a moderator. We've got more moderators than we have non-moderators, I think. Always dangerous. Python with a PI. So Damien George, who invented MicroPython, or started MicroPython, check out, hey Matt, good morning. Check out his, there's a whole bunch of videos online from him, and in one of them he talks about MicroPython and how more optimized it is in terms of memory and performance and the decisions he made and a lot of stuff to get it to, to be able to run on a microcontroller, because obviously, much smaller platform than running it on a PC, Mac PC, whatever. Yeah. So he's done some interesting talks about all of that. So if you want to know more about the differences between the two, and Matt's been converting a whole bunch of libraries over and getting stuff working. He just updated or made a MicroPython .star library, or fixed, we should say, the CircuitPython version of the library, so it works on any type of board, which is pretty cool. So we now have direct ability to control the .star on the board just through MicroPython. Yeah, there's a lot of libraries out there that you can use, but there are some incompatibilities, obviously, when you're talking about regular Python and MicroPython when it comes to the hardware side. Most of it's just syntax differences, which is pretty much the same as the difference between MicroPython and CircuitPython. That the Adafruit have just gone a completely different direction with the way they talk to hardware. It's less abstract and more specific, which means it's not as compatible with boards that they're not writing it for, unfortunately. A little bit closed-minded, but that's okay. I mean, they're supporting the boards they want to support. So what are we looking at links at? Do I want to open this link, Rob? I'm going to open this link to see what we're all talking about. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is what the link was. So Adafruit also have a cable kind of like this. I've seen something similar to this before, that header. Yeah, I mean, maybe that would have been easier for me to build something with, to get rid of all this bridging wire. I don't know. But because I was going to a custom board anyway, I just decided it just wasn't worth ordering more cables and trying to... Yeah, like trying to improve this mess when this is temporary. This was really just to prove that the concept is working. But, like, even this would be a problem. You know, I'd have to find space on the breadboard to stick this header, assuming that it would even fit in a breadboard, to be able to plug this cable into to bridge it across. And the other problem with this is I don't want I need some of these pins on the Pi exposed, not going through this. Which is the reason why I didn't get I could have got the Adafruit one from a company called Core Electronics. I could have had it in a couple of days, but I figured I'd have to start cutting the cables for some of the wires, and it just seemed too problematic. Yeah, I mean, if I ever do anything in the future, I can use something like this for sure. And it's pretty cheap, much cheaper than Adafruit's one. I'll have to see if I can find them more locally. Cool. Thanks. Cold coffee. So, now I've got to remember if... I had a plan of what I want to do. Hey, David. Just for a minute. No! You've been busy. I actually saw you Do Not Disturb on Skype. I thought, wow, I've never seen you Do Not Disturb on Skype. You must be slammed with stuff at the moment. Now, I wanted to also show you how I was inserting my code, but I have a funny feeling... What is rshell.io? God, my spelling today is just atrocious. Ah, right. Yes, okay, that's what I wanted to show everyone how to check out. Have you thought about using a proto shield or a proto hat? Or maybe... Yeah, so I was looking at Adafruit's proto shield. Again, I could have just grabbed one like it. Yeah, I figured... Sorry, David, I figured you were working on that after the disaster you told me the other day. Yeah, that's why I didn't bug you the other day. Cool. I hope that goes smoothly. Yeah, I was looking at that, but again, like to pay $20 to get a board, to again have to completely hand solder everything, and risk wrecking that when I was getting a PCB anyway. Like I needed other stuff on the PCB. It just doesn't make any sense to not make a PCB out of it. I might need to make 10 of these. I don't know. Like, you know, by some fluke, I could, you know, on crowd supply, you know, could do a few thousand TinyPICOs. And if that's the case, I'm going to need to supply probably 5 or 6 test jigs for them. So I need to be able to reproduce this quite easily. And so, yeah, custom PCB was always going to be the thing. Oh, it did work? Awesome. Yeah, David works on the electronic side of big organs, like big digital pipe organs, I think. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, he's been having a bit of an adventure with some electronics. There we go. Marshall and Ogletree. Sounds like a 70s band. Okay, so this is what I did. Okay, this is what I worked out. So with R shell, I can tell R shell to run a script. And so what it's going to do is this. So the Pi issues an R shell command which copies my doit.io.py to my board, TinyPICO, as main.py. Right? And then this here tells the TinyPICO to do a soft reset. And so that's how I'm injecting my code. So what I'll have is an R shell IO, an R shell PSRAM, an R shell, or whatever tests I do, an R shell Wi-Fi, and each one of those will inject a different Python script, a MicroPython script, onto the board and reboot the board, soft reboot the board, and then look for an acknowledgement. And what this means is I can, by doing it as individual scripts like this and not as one big MicroPython code base, I can tweak each individual one and reorder them and call them at different times and rerun individual tests whenever I want to, without having to constantly maintain one big messy code base that keeps splitting off everywhere. So R shell is proving to be super powerful. Something else that I found out about R shell the other day, for anyone that's interested, is that R shell, the complete API is exposed for R shell inside Python, so I can actually call, rather than just keep calling R shell on the terminal with commands, I can actually access R shell from Python and actually tell it to do stuff from Python code, not from the terminal, which is pretty crazy. Will I be able to get this internationally? And if I have a regular ESP32 board, flash the MicroPython firmware on it. I really like Python. So you already can get MicroPython for ESP32. So let's have a look here. If you go to just micropython.org, let me just move this over. This is just looking at, yeah, so if I, where's just, how do I get just regular micropython.org? That's stocks, okay, micropython.org. Okay, so regular micropython.org, if you go to downloads, got ESP32, and here's the latest firmware that you can just flash onto pretty much any ESP32 board. It's got the instructions here on how to flash it, how to erase and flash it, and you've got MicroPython. Like you can actually boot the board to a REPL and you can type MicroPython code, or you can work on main.py and copy it over using R shell or something. So you've already got full MicroPython on there. The only thing that's still missing on MicroPython and even on CircuitPython, just in general, is Bluetooth support is still not present. There is I believe there's a Bluetooth branch for MicroPython that's being worked on. It's kind of working, but it's not mainline yet. So that's to do with ESP32 and MicroPython. It's already there. And as you can, if I just go back to here, you can see that the Pi board is the board that Damien makes. There's a YPi board. You can even run MicroPython on ESP8266. And then there's some other things here for some STM boards and Nucleo boards. And as far as TinyPICO, yeah, they'll be available globally when my Crowd Supply campaign launches, and then obviously post that as well. Yes, BLE is coming soon. Apparently it's working, just in a separate branch. It's coming. By the way, there are ESP and ESP32s in the consoles. In what? Oh, are there? I didn't know you had those in there. Interesting. Yeah, MicroPython's great. I'm really enjoying it. What was I saying though? I was distracted again. Wow. Yep, lost it. Worst stream ever. I was talking about R Shell. That's what I was talking about, R Shell. Yeah, R Shell is really cool. CircuitPython just released basic support. Yeah, but it's just for the Nordic, right? And I know they just released their new NRF52 as well, their new board. I think this week. Last week they released it, finally. So it's great, but it kind of limits you right now to... See you, David. Take care. Yeah, very limited scope for the BLE on CircuitPython right now. Like, you're stuck with just that bit of hardware. So definitely look forward to having that available on just MicroPython in general for the ESP32. It's probably just the one missing piece right now, I think, Matt, for full ESP32 support. Anyway, let's just close that. Let's just close that. And I was talking about, yeah. So yeah, I want to look more into controlling R Shell directly from Python. But worst case scenario is I can do this right now. So I'm waiting still on the PSRAM support in MicroPython so I can do my PSRAM tests. No pitch bend yet. Channel volume. Alright, okay. Have we heard back at all from Damien, Matt? Just have a chat. Hopefully we'll be back soon. So, I've ordered a bunch of these screens. I've got, I think, 5 or 6 of them coming. I have another spare one here, so I'll have enough. I can make, 5 or 6 test jigs. Obviously, I've got plenty of LEDs. I've got plenty of buttons. Stacks of it's all surface mount on the board, which is good. So I've got all the parts I need to be able to make as many as I need. And I have to, I haven't got yet, but I found a place where I can get tall headers, 2x20. Cool. Maybe I'll shoot him an email, Matt, just to nudge him a little bit. I need to get some tall headers here, just because I want the PCB, my test hat, when it sits here, to be high enough that I don't get any shorts here. I'm gonna have to put some tape or something, because that's where the buttons are. So like, until I've got all in there, I'll custom 3D print some standoffs to get everything the right height. And as I said, custom cut some acrylic for everything. I'm really looking forward to getting those boards so I can get this stuff finished. Okay, sorry, just scanning chat. So what other news do I have? I felt there was something else and I can't remember what it was. No, lost it. My brain is not functioning today at all very well. Just as well it's going to be a quick stream today, because brain cells have deteriorated rapidly. Got my light box working. Can't even see it. Okay, that's fine. So my light box came with a cable. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. So it came with the, it's got 2 strips of LEDs on it, and it's got a USB splitter, so 1A to 2 micro Bs. But the cable doesn't work. There's just no power. It's just a dead cable. There's no continuity on the power pins, and it just doesn't light up, which is frustrating. So I had to go out and buy some more cables and a power adapter for 2 to power them separately, and I could have wired them all together, whatever. And I got myself finally a new macro lens for my camera, so I can take really close-up shots, so I can start taking product shots for the TinyPICO. And my microscope camera situation. So Rob let me know that he got, in Windows, he got it working as a USB cam with the USB cable instead of HDMI. So I tried that on my Mac and it doesn't work, unfortunately. It recognizes it as a device, but I can't get any video out of it, which is really frustrating. So I still don't have a solution for... I don't have a cheap solution for this. I found a solution where I can connect my camera to my Mac and be able to capture again without the stutter. But it's $700. Yeah, and so probably not something I'm going to buy right now just to get my microscope working on a stream, which is a shame. Need to add to my inventory. Really nice board. Just remember, Greg, that the Pi 3A Plus has the same on-the-go half-assed USB port as the Pi 0W. They are not full USB ports and they are not hot swappable. See you, Matt. Have a good day at work. I'll chat with you later. Thanks for popping in. So just be aware of that if you wanted to do anything with a USB. Yeah, so it's Leo, it's a proper HDMI switch converting box. I can basically, it does hardware conversion in the box of, so you got HDMI in and out, and then I can say I want this signal coming in. I can down scale or upscale. I can go 60 frames a second to 30 frames a second. I can do all sorts of stuff. I can do hardware tweaking on the HDMI signal coming through. Hey Don, I don't have a crappy PC knocking around, but even if I did, I do everything on a Mac, so a PC is not going to help me as a webcam because I can't stream off it. Like I was streaming off a PC, running a Hackintosh, but I'm not interested in working on a PC on Windows, so I need to find a solution for the Mac. How much force it took to break the HDMI plug. It wasn't a lot of force, let me tell you. It wasn't a big knock. It was just, yeah, I don't know. So when I was in Shenzhen, I was actually at a company who were making cables. I was watching them as they solder their cables together before they were hand soldering all the connectors on like USB and HDMI. It was incredible. Really great soldering skills. All the guys and girls on the line had burnt fingers. It was incredible. Anyway, I was watching how they were doing it, and there's really, internally inside the molding, there's no stability, no structural stability at all. Right, I mean, yeah, I wonder if I could use an FPGA to make something. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I just have to learn how to use a FPGA. I've got one, and I've got another one on the way. Well, it doesn't look like a low-quality cable. It actually looks like quite a solid cable, which is why I didn't think I was going to be able to cut into the molded end. Like, it looks really chunky and well made, but just internally, yeah, it's snapped, and I don't get how the inside of it can snap. Like, it should be completely molded together, right? Does that make sense? Like, I would expect it to be completely solid plastic around the cable and the solder joints, but it's not, because there's movement inside. So yeah, it's just a really crappy build, I guess. I was actually on today's stream going to, I was going to play with my tiny FPGA, but I haven't got around to even plugging it in yet. I don't have any software on that. I don't even know how to use it. That could be an interesting project, I guess, working out how to do HDMI conversion on an FPGA, if that's even possible. Like, I'm sure it's possible, but whoa, over my head. A cheap starter board, so tiny FPGA. The embedded hobbyist, this is what you want. If you want just a straight up FPGA board to start with, oops, this is what you want. It's the tiny FPGA. It's got an ICE40 FPGA on there, some RAM. It's got a pretty cool tool chain available. It's compatible with quite a few different tool chains. And yeah, they're $20. I believe, or $24 US or something like that. And then I just ordered on the Crowd Supply campaign. Let me just show you the Icebreaker. Crowd Supply Ice. I'll show you what I ordered. So I just ordered one of these as well. I ordered the HDMI kit, actually, interestingly. No, I didn't. I ordered this one. The Icebreaker LED panel driver kit with LED panel. So it's an Icebreaker with, so he uses PMOD connectors everywhere, which are these ports here. And so this particular kit has the HDMI connector. Let's see if there's a picture of it down below. This is what PMOD connectors. This is the HDMI, no, this one here is the HDMI connector. And so the FPGA does HDMI out, and then it comes with a 64 by 64 panel. Can't see the corner of, yeah, it's got a 64 by 64 LED panel, just like those RGB panels that Brian and Michael and I and everyone's been playing with. And again, it's fully open source, and this comes with a whole bunch of different modules that you can learn all sorts of stuff. So he's got like a dip switch module and a 7-segment display module and all sorts of different things, so you can learn from. Really good documentation, and yeah, quite accessible. So I mean, a little bit more expensive. They're $69 just for the straight up Icebreaker, but it's a great product to learn from. FPGA version of the Tomy FPGA was proved. Yeah, it would work. The issue I've got with that, just like with the regular Tomy, which I've got, is what do you do with it? I can't think of anything to do with I've got a couple of them, but I mean, yeah, like for me, having a board is all about being able to connect stuff to it, and you can't do that on the Tomu and Fomu and all of those ones. What was the HDMI question, Electron Ash? What do you mean, what was the question? Who has the question? Oh, we're talking about HDMI on... Hey, Paul. Moar. Just a different way of saying more. Have you not heard more? It's like raw. It's like more. It's... Yeah. Sorry. I thought that was like a known word. I know it's not English, like real English, but that's what I thought it was. You asked something earlier about how to convert HDMI and FPGA. No, so because I have the problem with HDMI from my microscope onto my new Mac Mini, it captures fine unless I'm streaming. The extra overhead of streaming is a problem. I need to down convert 1080p 60 to 1080p 30 before it hits my machine. So I need a box sitting in between. And I can either buy a box for $700, but someone, like was it Leo, suggested that maybe I could do that same thing on an FPGA. I could HDMI in, HDMI out, FPGA in the middle, and do some type of down conversion from 60 to 30 frames a second on the FPGA. But I would need to learn how to do that. Yes, Dave Darko played with one, with an Icebreaker at the... Which conference was it? The Crowd... What was it called? Hackaday event. You did a Icebreaker session, didn't you? With one of the earlier prototypes. I think an earlier revision. Oh, no, I didn't have a spelling problem. I did that. I spelled it that way on purpose. I thought it was funny, but I don't know. Maybe not. Supercon, that's the one. Yes, thank you, Dave. Yeah, the Icebreaker looks really cool, but I mean, I want to start playing with the tiny FPGA. But like all things, unless I have a thing to do with it, let's bring up Tiny FPGA, because Tiny FPGA is cheaper. If you want a cheaper board to start with, so I've got the BX. So here you go, $38. Okay, it's a little bit more. I think it was cheaper. I got it cheaper. I got it early on. And this is designed to work just like a microcontroller board. And again, it's open source and a really good tool chain. And you can actually buy these just in shops now. I think it's like SparkFun sell them, and you can walk into some electronic shops and they've got them. Yeah, Tiny FPGA is a really good starting point. But obviously, if I was going to connect HDMI in and out to this, I'd need to design a board and with HDMI connectors and all sorts of other stuff. Where with the Icebreaker, he's already got the PMOD HDMI connectors, so I could technically just buy 2 HDMI connectors and put them into 2 different PMOD ports and then do that. Oh, I didn't even know David was here. Hey, David. See you, Neffers. Catch you later. I hope your wife is well, gets better soon. So, I mean, if you look at it, the board, it's pretty crazy, right? I mean, I don't know anything about FPGAs, but it sounds pretty cool. It's got 8mm of flash. 7,680 4-input lookup tables. Yeah, okay. Anyway, it looks pretty straightforward. Yeah, so this Ice Storm looks really interesting. So the Ice Storm is a development environment that is all drag and drop, which is nuts. And then you can either, I think you can upload directly from here, or you can spit out code that kind of looks like this. So there's quite a few different ways of coding with the Tiny FPGA, and I believe you can also do the same thing with the Icebreaker. Yeah, and the fact that it's open source is pretty amazing. And it's just a really nice looking board. Also, I'm fairly sure the PMOD module on that page is HDMI is only for 12-bit color. I'm quite happy with 12-bit color, can I tell you, if it's just from a microscope. David's just lurking. That's okay, mate. You're welcome to lurk away. It's definitely an interesting idea to be able to potentially do, assuming I could do 2 HDMIs on this. Yeah. Well, anyway, the problem is I'm not going to get anything till middle of the year, I think. When does it ship? June, yeah. So I have to wait till June. So it's a long way away, unfortunately, for me to grab access to this to be able to try it out. And then for the production ones, I think that you can get some of the early revisions still. Like, I'm sure I could reach out and get an earlier revision board that I might have to just do some bodge wires on, I believe, to get it up and running. And I could technically work off one of those. HamsterWorks page has some nice example code for handling HDMI directly and even capturing it via an FPGA. Yeah. Cool. So that could definitely be an option, but that might be a bit far away. I mean, it's going to be a cheaper option than $700, and it might be something, I mean, that's probably not an entry-level FPGA project. Probably not the type of thing I should tackle as my first project, but anyway. I just want to be able to get one of these boards up and running and make it flash an LED. That'd be a good start. Always fires off inspiration for new projects. I need to get on with my new workroom reno. Yeah, there's never a shortage of ideas of new projects to start, is there, Greg? It's getting other stuff finished and just finding time. So I'm going to wrap this stream up today at 9 AM, so in 22 minutes or earlier. Just letting everyone know. I gave myself 2 hours for today. So once again, I was going to work on this today, but that was my plan yesterday. But then, with all the issues I had last night with this, I think it's just not worth pulling my hair out over it. And every time I pull the board out, as you can see, the wires are really close. I knock the wires, and it gets a bit busted. Or mirror box into Pi, VLC capture and stream via network and pick it up in OBS. Yeah, not going to happen, Rob. Just too complicated. Like, ultimately right now I can use my microscope and I can just set up my DSLR on the side like I did on that other build. Can't remember which build it was, and that worked okay. If anything, you probably get better vision seeing what I'm doing than through the microscope, because the picture on the microscope's not fantastic on the camera out. The other thing I can do is actually get a different camera. I believe that I can even, like the camera that autofocusing one that that Davey was looking at, I believe the mount on that is compatible, or something like that. One of those is compatible with my microscope. So at some point I could swap a camera out, but again, I don't want to spend $500 on a box, and I don't want to spend $500 on a camera. You know, the microscope for me is more about me being able to build stuff with, and you know, it's nice to have vision out. Maybe I'll work something out. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a Mac update at some point that improves it. If I'd finished my PCB for the El Cheapo scaler, it could have handled 1080p resolution framework conversion easily. So finish it, Electron Ash. Yeah, the autofocus ones are not cheap, but they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. I mean, so I've thought to myself a few times, if I was going to set myself up again, would I go for the microscope like this again, or would I go for a digital one like what Davey was showing? The problem with the digital one is I need to have a screen, right, where I can see what I'm working on. And then for the stream, other people need to see what I'm working on as well. And then so how do I then have to split the picture to streaming into what I can see, and then I've got a third screen in front of me. I mean, there was a lot of issues with setting up a digital microscope that way, like something that I could work with. And had I seen the one that Davey showed on his channel before I bought my microscope, I might have gone that direction. But I'm pretty happy with my microscope. It's quite comfortable. Like, I'm getting used to it. I used to get some headaches at the start from it, using it for too long, but it's pretty good now. I've got my heights and everything set up really nicely, so it's pretty good. Never got on with plug-in breadboards. If it's a few components and rat nest. Yeah, you can't beat solder connection. I don't have any Vero board. I should buy myself some. I just never have. I've got plenty of this type of stuff, which is terrible for building stuff with. Vero board's great for like just building blobs, strips of solder along a, you know, making traces out of solder. This isn't. I don't know whether it's just the flux or the lack of, or whatever they're doing with these boards, but these are really, like, just getting two of these holes connected with a solder blob is really hard. Yeah, I still think depth of field is a problem. And that was my biggest concern about getting a digital microscope at the start. But that autofocus one's quite interesting. But yeah, like when I'm, depth, like even with my microscope sometimes, like I have a problem where I can't quite detect my height. Hey Gavin, because I'm working so close, you know, when I'm working on this, lost it. Like when I'm working on that, okay, that's just, like I need, like the depth, working in depth at this point, when I'm placing stuff down, like we're talking about a millimeter, 2 millimeters worth of height that I'm trying to navigate when I'm placing stuff down. That's a really tiny, small amount of height gap, you know. This, I'm not even see it. Where's my other tweezers? White on white doesn't help. But that's the type of height gap I'm working at when I'm moving stuff on and placing it and lifting it and moving it and adjusting it. And I couldn't see myself doing that out of a digital scope. True binocular with video and trinocular is the way to rock. Yeah, that's what mine's got. Mine's got true, so I don't lose any stereo vision when I've got camera output. So it's simulfocal. But yeah, just my Mac Mini can't capture the 60 frames a second from the camera while it's streaming. It captures fine until not streaming, but the extra CPU overhead of capturing it, of the streaming part, is just killing the frame rate, unfortunately. Which, yeah, I need to find a solution for that. Using my $5 LED adapter. Yeah, I still use mine a lot. Like, I've got it up here. It's normally my go-to. Like, if I need to do a quick build or just some quick soldering or something, or even hot air or something to remove, I'll just grab my 5 diopter magnifier. The same. It's sometimes pulling the microscope out and getting it in the one spot just to get in there and do one little thing isn't worth it. Best money I ever spent lately was the true binocular that Strange Parts recommend. Yeah, I mean, working out of a true microscope it's really nice once you get used to it, for sure. And I have to say, like, this has been fantastic. Mostly because it allows me to just have everything completely centered, right? I just, had I made it a fraction smaller, if I could have got it maybe this diameter maximum, right? So if the bed inside was a fraction smaller and everything was reduced a bit, I could get complete field through my microscope. Like, in terms of when I'm looking, I can, like right now, if I need to grab a part from over here, I'll often have to pull my head away from the microscope to grab the part, because it's just outside of my, not outside of the vision range of the microscope, it's outside of my peripheral, right? Like my understanding of where my hand is, if that makes sense. It's kind of a weird thing, you instinctively know where your hand is relative to your eyes just through the mechanics of your body. Does that make sense? I know where my hand is behind my head without looking, right? I know where it is. I know it's on the side, my left, it's on my right. I know because of my body mechanics. So I know where my hand is in general, but the fine motor skill of that is lost outside a certain range of your vision when you're focusing on something. And, wow, I'm not a physicist, whatever. I'm medically not trained, don't know what I'm talking about, but I feel like a lot of times if there was a part here that I needed to grab, I could do that without even looking, without even thinking, but to go that extra 1 or 2 centimeters, I lose my ability to understand where my tweezers are. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, John Oxer talked me into the microscope, and I'm glad he did. I don't think I could have built this. I mean, I could have built this without it. I was building my first TinyPICOs before I had the microscope. The microscope definitely helps to get better alignment. I still have to work out what I'm going to do with this. I'm still not sure what use this board is, but yeah. I used to stab individual brain cells with micro manipulators. What? Don, what are you doing? What did you do? How do I get around ESD issues with this setup? I don't. I've never... Yeah, I was going to say touch wood. I've never had an ESD issue. I really don't know anyone that has. I mean, this is, obviously, it's rubber. It's, it's... I'm not really set up in here to be completely ESD safe. I've got some shoes I wear, sometimes I get a bit of static from the carpet. I don't know. Haven't really worried too much about it. Yeah. Sorry if that's not what you wanted to hear. But yeah, I don't really do much of actually measuring voltage across the membranes. Wow. Okay. Had someone turn on a 100-watt iron while I was leaning on it once. Okay. Ouch. Where can I get the antennas again? Which antennas? What? This isn't what they used to be. I remember in the 80s. Yeah, like, I don't know. I mean, everyone I speak to says they've never had an ESD issue. You know, it doesn't mean that I'm ignoring it, but I just, you know, I'm not sure what else I could really do that would really make that much of a difference. I mean, I could get a wrist strap and, you know, do the grounded table bench and strap myself to the bench and all that type of stuff, but I don't know. I really don't know. The antennas that I use are DigiKey. ProAnt antenna on DigiKey. Yeah, they're the sold. I mean, you can get them from other places, but they're the sole distributor for them. They're the cheapest places to get them. I've got ESD floor mats actually, but I've got carpet over the top of them to make them softer. So that kind of negates that, right? It's okay. No worries about cross-firing. You can use zap gates inside chips. I was allowed to destroy a lot of electronics by touching them. Doesn't seem to happen nowadays. Well, the wrist strap isn't really simple because it's got to be connected to something that's grounded properly, and then it changes you to your desk. Yeah, which is my problem because, as you see, I get up and walk around all the time. Like, if I had to unplug myself and plug myself in all the time, I'd just be, yeah. I'd just stop doing it, so I didn't start. Yeah, I guess it really depends where you are as well, Peter. Like, that's a good point. Like, I guess there's, I mean, I will occasionally zap myself if I've got like a new pair of shoes or something that I haven't worn in the sole or something. I'll, you know, occasionally get especially when I go to my component rack, which is probably the worst thing to get zapped on. But yeah, these straps have snaps. Well, no, only if you remember to unstrap yourself, right? Wireless ESD straps. Yeah, you got to remember to unstrap yourself, unsnap yourself, or you end up just, yeah. I'll put one around my ankle and trip myself over. Yeah, that's another option. I've seen some, I don't know how good they are. I've seen some things that are on the desk and they're grounded and you're supposed to just touch them or something first. I don't know if that's ever touch the bench PSU. Yeah, I guess you could just, yeah, if it's something grounded, you could just touch it. Hey, John. ESD waffle. Waffles. Hungry. One of my first jobs involved building a clean room for a microelectronics company. After ensuring all the dust was removed and fitted from the room, they brought in the concrete cutters. Whoops, that's a bit backwards. Shoe straps. Straps to the shoe, so I'm going to trip myself over by strapping my shoe to the desk. I'm a klutz at the best of times. The last thing I want to do is attach myself to anything, Peter. I'll just forget and trip over. Yeah, I could do with some waffles this morning. Waffles with raspberry jam or strawberry jam. That'd be nice. Yeah, the problem with the ESD mats, like of all the ones I've seen, unless it's a full desk one, you know, like the ones that Dave Jones usually put on his desk, they're discoloured. I don't like those small ESD ones. Like, it's not really what I want to be working on my desk. Like, I know I'm putting form over function, I guess, or aesthetics over function, but I don't know. It's general conductive mat and the strap connects to your ankle. Right, but it's still connected. It's still a strap, right? You're still attached to something. When you fail the test a dozen times, you try and enter the facility and go through 10 straps. So I thought about anti-static spray, and I was going to actually go out and buy some anti-static spray for my carpet in here. I thought that might be a clever thing to do anyway, but I just don't even know if it really works. Does anyone use anti-static spray? The new SD mate is too expensive for my current. Just use fabric softener in a spray bottle. Fabric softener on the carpet, Alan. Get some apple scented fabric softener. Ooh, that'd be nice. Wear tinfoil trousers and sit on the metal chair. Tinfoil underwear. There you go. I'm going to kickstart some tinfoil underwear for everyone. That'd be hilarious. That just don't work on mains. Just pee yourself every few hours. We'll keep the static down. Carpet it, straight it down with A-stat spray. Yeah, I know, but so far, I know what's going to happen. I don't need one. I've never had an issue. It's not going to be a problem. And then next week's stream, I'm going to destroy everything on my desk through static discharge. But yeah, I don't know. I just maybe like if I ever go into like a full-on production of anything internally here, I'd have to set up a proper ESD safe area for my builds and construction. But I feel like the type of stuff I'm doing right now, it's yeah. I mean, I could get a anti-static mat, sure. I'm just not sure I'll ever tap into it or not, or remember. I guess if I get into a routine, maybe. Just ground your bench. We generally make contact a lot. Touch a grounder tool from time to time. Yeah, that's what I feel like the stuff we're making is not overly important, but I could, I could quite easily just set something like on the side of my desk, like a grounded area to touch, and just touch it now and then. It's probably not a bad idea. I'll look into it. I definitely like the idea though of doing some type of spray on here anyway, just because, yeah. Like I always forget every time I get a new pair of shoes, I tend to zap myself a bit more than usual. Indeed not, but meh. Folks, I'm going to wrap the stream up. It's been fun. It's been a weird stream. Totally unproductive. But a good chat. I'm just, yeah, feeling quite scattered today. I'm not sure why. Probably just tired. Remember ground through a meg or so. Why are we sighing? Hey, DC Allen. Have they seen your Volterra for doing PCB and soldering paste? Yeah, Volterra's not new. It's been around for ages. And I was looking at those 18 months ago, and I thought, wow, I really want one of those. But you know what? They're actually... I've actually seen one in real life at Hacks in Shenzhen. And it's... yeah, it's very different to what you think. So it's quite small, the Volterra, and it's also, it doesn't use solder paste. It uses their it's a special silver paste that they use to construct with, and it produces some nice stuff, but it's a very expensive way of prototyping a board. Looks very cool though. Also, they make it look like this thing where you can put a board in, and you can build the board with it, then you can place the parts, and then you can reflow really easily. It's actually quite a lot of work between each step to change everything around to get to the next step. So a very expensive solution for something for one-off boards. Just when the conversation got down to my level. Sorry. Hang on. Wait. Stuff going everywhere. Can't wrap up. My courier hasn't arrived yet. Oh, we have to wait for Greg's courier. No, it wasn't a great stream, but thanks. It was a fun chat, but it was not a great... It was very unproductive. I don't know what I was expecting to do today. As I said, I was disappointed with the state of this breadboard, so I didn't want to break it and touch it. And we've got people coming in now. Hey, J-Man, just in time. It's a very nice looking machine, the Volterra. Like when I first saw it, I thought, wow, I really want one of those. But they're actually quite impractical, and they're very small. Like it's only this big. As in, the area that you can work on is only like this big. And it's the unit, yeah, it's for the money. Anyway. The chat and the discussions is what it's all about. Thanks, Electron Ash. Okay, so from now on, no projects on my stream, just chat. Yeah. Did everyone see, just very quickly, did everyone see Davey's video about the paid dislikes on his videos? Wow, that is nuts. The people will go to so much effort to try to, you know, battle people that don't like their stuff. It's pretty crazy. Anyway. Thank you all for joining. I'm sorry it was a bit scattered and all over the place. I hope you have a wonderful week. Unfortunately, my boards aren't going to be back in time for next week, I don't think. If they are, I will do a live build of my hat, my test jig hat, but I don't think they're going to be back in time, which is a shame. Anyway, have a wonderful week. Looking forward to February. Yeah, there's always dislikes. Nothing I can do about it. Google Tube one day announced that they're letting everyone know who disliked the videos. Yeah, I'd love to see who disliked them. That'd be awesome. So I could haggle. I don't think any of my content's controversial enough to go viral, unfortunately. Anyway, bye everyone. Take care. Hope you have a great week, and hope you get to make something cool. Catch you later. Bye.